I'm going to say a few things about history, about language, and about policy. History, why? Because I've been surrounded by historians the last few days, and so I feel like I should say something about history. Right? Now, one thing I have learned from historians is that one should be very cautious about saying on this date the world changed, because so often there's actually nothing quite as new as it appears. And if I had if I was given a penny every time I've read that Diamond versus Chakrabarty just changed everything, I would certainly have enough money to not be broke with Bronwyn in a pub. In fact, I could probably buy a drink for everyone in the pub. Not that I'm never that generous, but So I mean, long before 1980, there were patents related to biotech. Well, I think we all sort of know that, or ought to know it. Even Chakrabarty's patent invention is patented in the UK under the old UK Patent Act in its sort of early mid-70s. So in a way, it's not really surprising the Supreme Court went ahead and said, well, it's now a majority, said go ahead and patent life forms. But it's actually surprising in a way that the USPTO actually did the rejection in a way. I find it a little bit extraordinary in a way. But of course, also, people then talk about sort of gene patents. Of course, gene patenting tends to depend on Diamond versus Chakrabarty, because once chemicals were patentable back in the 1850s, if not earlier, then it's not highly surprising that that sort of DNA claim slipped in, and without anyone particularly thinking there was much of a problem with it. So sort of uses and abuses of history. Actually, if I think of a really important case, I would say going back over 100 years, Park Davis versus Mulford, isolate and purify. I mean, you might think that the EU Biotech Directive, when they wrote that, they were actually they had that case actually with them while they were but I'm sure that wasn't quite like that either. So language. I mean, language. It comes up so often. Language in terms of describing the science in a way that makes it all seem so precise and neat. Language used in overcoming exclusions, getting round. And of course, language is very important in terms of legal reasoning. Now, reasoning by analogy in common law is often how judgments are made, isn't it? Basically, we treat this as if it's that. We know it's different, but we forget the differences. I mean, I remember hearing somebody, actually not today, but someone say, patent attorney say, well, I mean, I just don't really think, patenting a life form is any different from patenting anything else, and anything that's not anything that's non-living. And I say, well, but these things breed, they produce, sure it's different, but as far as it's concerned, those differences are not actually that important. It is as if the living is actually non-living. And that's how boundaries get crossed. I mean, that's how we say there are no boundaries. And that's a fascinating area that it seems in a way to come up quite a lot. And then, okay, I've got that minute left. I'm going pretty fast. I could say so much more, but I don't want to overstay my prevent you from going off and having a drink, which I'm sure you're desperate to have. I am. And then policy. Now. Harmonisation seems to be becoming more and more impossible, doesn't it? I mean, biotechnology, the way the US deals with things, the way Europeans deal with things. I mean, I'm not a great fan of harmonisation, so I quite like it. But yeah, I mean, it just seems to be. I mean, how are we going to agree on anything in terms of biotech patenting? It just seems to get more and more distant. Any way at WIPO or anywhere to get us to agree. It just seems like it's not really going to happen. Now, of course, in biotechnology, we are, like fairly new. Well, I'm saying it's not that new, okay. But obviously, there are new things coming up. And of course, there's a tendency to allow overprotection, and it happened with, obviously with aeroplanes and in the bath as well. Overprotection, and then you have a sort of rebalancing, partly through the courts tightening rules up, but also because the overprotection can become inconvenient also for business. So you get a sort of private ordering through, whether it's through patent pools or something else, you know, a mix of private and of course, and also courts starting to sort of tighten things up. But it seems like things are moving so fast with synthetic biology, although is it really that cool as it sounds? Is it really that amazing? Maybe it's just propaganda, you know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can see ever increasing periods of over-detection and then adjustment, over-detection and adjustment. I don't know whether that's just a normal trend of pattern or anyway, but biotech certainly really puts, you know, gives that sort of sharp relief and it's scary, but then we think in long term, okay, well, it's going to be okay, but then it goes out of balance again, and thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.